hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
Who wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
Have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of like, I don't know, vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing, before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic?
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
And you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
Bill Maher and Joe Rogan rarely agree on anything, but they do have one thing in common on Rachel Zegler's purportedly woke Snow White remake. This could be among Disney's worst failures to date. When it became known that Disney intended to change the story of Snow White away from romance, the first warning signs appeared. They reportedly desired a princess with more authority who didn't require a prince at all. That could seem harmless on paper. In actuality, though, it meant disregarding a classic's essential components. The romance, the charming innocence, the dwarfs.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. She's not going to be safe with a prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
Oh my God.
Those who had intended to purchase tickets began to wonder if Zegler even approved of the narrative she had been contracted to tell. Then it took an additional step. She had criticized a whole political bloc on social media, advising anyone who backed President Trump to leave and never know peace, according to old tweets.
So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump.
But you are not entitled to call for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, you are actually not entitled to do that. And so let me just remind you, Rachel Zegler, of what the map looks like, just so you can understand when your Disney movie is coming out, how many people you are wishing harm upon. Like, this is America right now. I will love you through these 4 years as best I can. F Donald Trump. Yeah, totally stable thing for her to be posting, wishing harm upon Trump voters, wishing that we have no peace.
President Rachel Zegler also posted, F Trump kinds of posts on social media. She also said that she hoped that Trump supporters, quote, never know peace.
And they postponed the release of this thing, Ben, for a year because their star, Rachel Zegler, was so unlikable, told all Trump supporters that they could f off, excuse me, but she did. That was just in November. They didn't even know she was going to do that one.
Unstable attacks were among them. Far Donald Trump, she shouted, cursing out his supporters. It was extreme even for viewers who did not favor Trump. After all, openly disparaging half a nation may backfire greatly when you're the star of a Disney film targeted at families, including those that span political boundaries. Criticism exploded like a hurricane.
And then she came out and she said, I apologize. Like, I went too far. But it wasn't sincere.
Was Zegler offending millions of ticket purchasers? Or was she simply being outspoken? What were the opinions of Bill Maher and Joe Rogan? Rogan, who is well known for his rambling podcast in which he discusses anything and everything, ripped into what he perceives to be a becoming Hollywood tendency, eschewing tradition and story in the name of being woke. He criticized the Snow White remake on a recent show, saying it was proof that studios are more concerned with negative publicity than they are with providing entertainment.
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension: racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just awful.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
It's awful, generic. Never mind that the lyrics make no sense at all. All you have to do to make your dream come true is let it echo. Is it like on a metaphorical level?
The movie is doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
Disney deleted Someday My Prince Will Come and made a modernized feminist alternative.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime. And let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
Bill Maher, who is well known for his commentary that frequently exposes flaws in political correctness, criticized the hypocrisy of calling the prince a stalker and eliminating dwarfs in the name of advancement. Ma saw it as a quintessential case of woke culture, overcorrecting and ultimately offending people, particularly small-scale actors who were denied iconic roles.
These big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword.
Next came the subplot, or more precisely, the elimination of all romantic subplots. The central theme of the first Snow White is that love triumphs over evil. Zegler declared with pride that a story about a woman having a prince dream did not interest her.
So no prince or a different kind of prince? I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
By putting so much emphasis on virtue signaling, Rogan and Maher both emphasize the same issue. Disney failed to see that people go to movies to be entertained, not to hear lectures. They argued that Zegler's personal assaults on a sizable portion of the populace merely served to fuel the flames. Why would fans pay to see the star on the big screen if she appeared antagonistic toward them?
Because you just can't close your mouth. You just can't be sane, even when you do open your mouth. I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film, but rather she deserves to be in a padded cell.
Apart from Zegler's demeanor, the production choices themselves seem like a recipe for trouble. The 7 dwarfs are more than just supporting figures. With their unique characteristics, they form the core of the first Snow White.
Did the dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards. And then, of course, Disney instantly buckled and said, okay, we're going to add magical creatures.
Then they got even crazier and they decided that the dwarves in Snow White weren't woke enough, okay?
Instead of giving the dwarfs new subtleties, Disney chose to either completely eliminate them or swap them out for computer-generated imagery of fantastical animals. Fans saw odd pictures of these so-called creatures, some towering, others short, a mishmash of arbitrary designs, when leaks appeared online.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work. That many scripts that come down the pike.
No, it's 7 of them.
That has, and there's 7 dwarf jobs here. But because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not right.
Many said they lacked the unique qualities that made the dwarves so endearing, looking like cheap stand-ins from a forgettable fantasy picture. Little person players were incensed, pointing out that each dwarf would have played a significant part that they hardly ever get to play.
I mean, I guess, what are we going to have? Like a lesbian, a trans person, someone in a wheelchair, someone of color? Like, I don't understand. Why weren't the dwarfs enough? But apparently they were too offensive because the most famous dwarf of all, Peter Dinklage, said something negative about it back in 2022, thus ruining the biggest acting roles the dwarfs had ever seen since the creation of Willy Wonka's Oompa Loompas back in the 1970s.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, it's for dwarfs, you know?
These are roles made for actors of my stature. I can't go out for the Harrison Ford or the George Clooney roles because that's not for me.
Right.
And now it's taken away. I don't feel that's right.
The 7 dwarfs of Snow White have, of course, all just disappeared, and now they're the 7 dysfunctional men.
They couldn't have dwarves. Do you guys remember?
Yeah,
that?
because Peter Dinklage and all them were talking crap.
So originally they
Do you have
took
a picture of what the dwarves were supposed to look like?
I can find it, but it was an array. It was the DEI of
DEI
dwarves.
dwarves.
Yep. They had to reshoot the film and use CGI dwarves. There you
So
go.
those guys didn't make it.
No.
That guy's 6'2".
And they were like, what? We just want to work. We're dwarves. So, ho, ho, ho.
It was referred to as a certified bomb in headlines within days of its deployment. According to reports, the movie cost more than $200 million. Disney had anticipated an opening weekend of at least $150 million, taking marketing into account. Rather, it had trouble raising $43 million. That is a terrible flaw, particularly for a historical remake that ought to have been guaranteed. Those who went to the theaters left with complaints that it felt hostile to original filmgoers. Unopened doll lines and themed goods were displayed on shelves. There were obvious indications that families were avoiding them. The public's message was unanimity. Box office success cannot be achieved by disrespecting half of your audience and trampling on tradition.
Who are you to say all of Andrew's could get cut? Like, who are you?
Oh my God.
Are you Disney? I've read your book, and I have. It's a phenomenal book. You're losing generation of loyal viewers. When you think about Snow White, what is the premise? What is the story?
It's a love story. It's a love story.
It's a dream for a girl to grow up and a man falls in love.
I'm really upset that the biggest theme here is that it's anti-men. She called him a stalker.
Rumors of internal strife at Disney surfaced as the returns began to come in. According to insiders, management were taken aback by how unpopular Zegler's political remarks were. Others said that the reshoots, which are reported to have cost millions extra, were necessary because the creative team attempted to change course mid-production.